Hey, it's Cairo. Welcome back to the channel. Lost Caverns of Ixalan is releasing very soon. Today, I have some draft boosters. I'm going to take a look at some of the cards in here. They're going to be random. What we get is what we get. I'm going to be analyzing them for limited and also standard. So, if you're new to the channel, thank you for viewing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing for more Lost Caverns of Ixalan content, including MTG Arena, spoilers, card openings, and more. Thank you to Wizards of the Coast for sponsoring this video. Couldn't do it without them. I really appreciate it. Let's get into it with our first pack. Alright, so here we go. Lost Caverns of Ixalan, baby. Here it is. Itali's Favor. 3-mana enchantment or enchant creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, discover 3. So discover is sort of like Cascade, where you exile cards from the top of your library until you get a non-land with mana value 3 or less, cast it without paying its mana cost, or put it into your hand, which is kind of nice because if you don't want to cast it right then, you can put it right back into your hand and put the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. So one of the cool things about Discover is also that these cards go to the bottom and they don't just get exiled away. So if you have a Discover deck, you can continually do this without having to worry about running out of cards. An enchanted creature has +1/+1 and has trample. So what do we think about this card? 3 mana for an enchantment. It does not have flash, so it's a little bit baiting you into a 2-for-1, but you do, if it does go off, you get the value of +1/+1 and trample on an enchanted creature, plus you get to discover 3. I think it's okay. I don't think it has a place in every deck. Now, Disturbed Slumber, 2 mana instant until the end of turn. Target land you control becomes a 4/4 dinosaur creature with reach and haste. That still land must be blocked this turn if able. So we've seen this cards in every set. Basically animate your land temporarily, but this gives it reach and haste, so it becomes a good blocker for flyers, and it must be blocked this turn if able. So if they have a creature that's less than a 4/4 and you can kill it, that's good, but at the same time, sometimes you want this thing to not have to be blocked. So I'm not sure. This is very situational. It's a decent common, I guess. Skullcap Snail. 2 mana for a 1/1 fungus snail. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent exiles a card from their hand. So you don't get to choose what card it is, but they exile one card. It's probably the weakest card from their hand. What's cool about this card is that it exiles it, so they don't get to reanimate it from the graveyard, and they can't simply discard something with flashback or retrace or whatever you have. So Skullcap Snail is like one of your typical discard cards like that, but it's a little bit better. Unlucky Drop. 4 mana, target artifact or creature's owner puts on top or bottom of their library. I feel like this is not as good as an unsummon effect that we have at 1 mana. I think it's a little overcosted. I think they can get rid of it if they don't want it. It goes back to their library, not just to their hand, so it does put them down a card because they're going to just draw it even if they put it on top. But at 4 mana, that's a little bit expensive. I like to pay 3 for that effect. Ironpaw Aspirant, 2 mana, Cat Warrior, 1/2. When it comes in, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. That's pretty decent for limited. It can be itself. So at the bare minimum, it's a 2 mana, 2/3. And if you have something with trample or something that you really want to beef up, or you have counter synergies, it's fine for limited. Haven't seen anything that I would play in constructed yet. Ancestor's Aid, 2 mana instant, target creature gets +2/+0, gains first strike till end of turn, create a treasure token. That's not bad. So an instant that buffs your creature and gives it first strike, makes it win a combat. Maybe it blows something out that's maybe like a 5/3 versus your 1/1, and you get a treasure token out of it. That instant I could see being played in really aggressive decks. I think that's actually one of the better cards we've seen so far. Mephitic Draft, 2 mana. When it enters the battlefield, it is put into a graveyard. From the battlefield, you draw a card and lose 1 life. If there's ever been sacrifice fodder, this is what this is. And I think in this set it's Orzhov Sacrifice, so white and black. So when it comes in on turn 2, preferably, you lose a life, draw a card, and then you get to sacrifice it maybe for another effect, lose a life, draw a card, and then get over that, whatever that sacrifice effect is. I think it's fine. I think it's good in the right build. Marauding Brinefang, 7 mana, Dinosaur, Ward 3, 6/7, Island Cycling. So these are kind of cool. I think we've seen these cycling in Lord of the Rings recently. Basic land cycling, there's one for every color. I think this is probably going to be the same for Lost Caverns of Ixalan. 7 mana, 6/7 with Ward 3. It's a common, so it's fine for a controlling type of deck that you want to play this on turn 7, but I do like that it has island cycling. So for 2 mana, discard it, search your library for an island, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So if you're kind of, you know, hitting mana screw, there you go. Attentive Sunscribe, 2 mana, artifact creature gnome, 2/2. When it becomes tapped, scry 1. Thinking of some synergies here, you wouldn't have to care about scrying. Like in the Lord of the Rings set, whenever you scryed, you did something. Something like that would be fine here, but I'm not sure that this is that great, because scry isn't card advantage, it is card filtering, but I don't know. Doesn't seem aggressive enough. Maybe it's a 3/2. You could keep attacking with it. Inverted Iceberg, 2 mana. When Inverted Iceberg enters the battlefield, mill a card, draw a card. It's an artifact, and you can craft it with an artifact. So for 6 mana, exile this artifact, exile another artifact you control, or an artifact card from your graveyard. Return this card transformed under its owner's control. That craft is actually very cool. So for 6 mana, exile this and another artifact you control. The thing that I like about this, or an artifact card from your graveyard, so you can get some payoff like we had with like Mephitic Draft, right? You either control this or you already sacrificed it, and then it's in your graveyard and you exile from a graveyard for the craft. What does it craft into? Crafts into Iceberg Titan, 6/6. When it attacks, you may tap or untap target artifact or creature. Okay, so yeah, when you craft this for 6 mana, you're in a controlling build and you start attacking, tap down their best blocker. That's not bad. That's a good common. Inverted Iceberg, I like that. Might of the Ancestors, 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0, gains vigilance until end of turn. It's an enchantment, 3 mana. This is an uncommon. Good and limited, I would say. +2/+0 and vigilance every turn or at the beginning of combat is actually pretty good. It is depending on you having creatures on the board that you want to attack with. There is no defensive strategy at all to this, and it doesn't give a permanent stat boost, so you are subject to, you know, removal and things like that. That your creatures still have the base stats. But yeah, in like a red-white aggressive deck or something like that, sure, give your weakest thing maybe +2/+0 in vigilance, so you can swing in for everything. Sorceress Spyglass, uncommon. When it comes in, look at the opponent's hand, choose any card name. Activated abilities of sorcerers with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. This strikes me as a great sideboard card. I think this is a reprint, and I think it probably does see play in areas. So like when they have a win con or something, something they put down has an activated ability, you just name that and go. I think it's fine. C-Note Scout, 1 green, 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, it explores. So this is another ability from Ixalan that's new. Reveal a top card of your library, put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, then put that card back or put it into your graveyard. So what's cool about Explore is that if you miss, you still get some benefit in making the creature bigger. So this is a 1 mana 2/2, which is actually pretty strong in the right situation if you don't hit a land. Now if you do hit a land, it goes to your hand, and you can make sure that you're hitting your land drops. So I think this is actually a pretty good card in limited. I would expect a 1 mana 2/2 in green to be pretty good. Restless Vents. This is a new creature land, rare. Enters the battlefield tapped, add black or red, 1 black and red for a total of 3 until end of turn. Becomes a 2/3 black and red insect creature with menace. It's still a land. Whenever it attacks, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. This is perfect for an aggressive Rakdos build that kind of needs, you know, you keep drawing lands on turn 4 or 5 and you're trying to get there. So you bring this in, you attack with it, and you can discard one of those lands, draw a card. Maybe you draw into a burn spell, you draw into a sacrifice thing, sacrifice a little creature, get some more card draw, or get into your, 4 or 5 mana big thing. So I like Restless Vents. The one downside I would say here is that it does enter the battlefield tapped, and there's no way to stop it from doing so. So a lot of the best creature lands have clauses where it comes into the battlefield tapped unless a requirement is met. We also have a mountain. That's a basic land. Really cool, unique art to this set. And we have a Golem token. So what did we learn from this pack opening? I have a few top picks here. I want to go through the top picks that I have for limited first. Mephitic Draft, I think, is very good for an Orzhov sacrifice build. Getting this down early, getting some card advantage, drawing, and then the fact that it's an artifact or just sacrifice fodder that can pay off your other sacrifice things, I think is very good. Second one is Inverted Iceberg. 2 mana to come in, mill a card, draw a card, and then craft with an artifact that's in your graveyard to bring in the Iceberg Titan. And this is a common. When it attacks, tap or untap target artifact or creature. Tapping down one of their blockers, I think, is going to be very good. Next one is the Cenote or Cenote Scout. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's 1 green for a 2/2 or get a land to your hand, and green really wants that. I think that's going to be solid to be, you know, aggressive in a Gruul build or something in a ramp build. And I think the only one that I've got here for constructed, let's go with 2. Restless Vents I think is going to be good because man lands are good, creature lands. And then we have Sorceress Spyglass, and that's going to go in your sideboard to mess with combo decks or decks that you know about the win con. I think this card is actually very I'm not going to say very bad, but pretty bad and limited. I think these are both constructed cards. So thank you very much again for Wizards of the Coast for sponsoring this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this for the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, whether you're playing limited or standard or commander or whatever. Thanks for liking and thank you for subscribing to the channel. I'll be having more content come out soon. Have a great day. If you want to purchase Lost Caverns of Ixalan, refer to the description where I have my link and it supports the channel. Thank you very much.